Hello, welcome to my channel and to my Facebook account. Most likely sa Facebook mo ito mapapanood. I recently bought a Sony a5000, um, which I intend to use for live streaming. Unfortunately, this camera is a bit old, and some cons and pros with buying this camera. I got it for very cheap, 250 Canadian dollars, including two spare batteries and a charger, and a kit lens. So the body itself would probably be less than $200. With the condition, it's still very good, um, and everything is functioning well, except for some limitations of A5000. Not until recently, a lot of people on the internet tweaked this camera to be able to handle live streaming, or to be able to output clean HDMI signal. Number two is to disable the video recording limit of 30 minutes. I previously had an A6300, and I currently own an A6500. And also with A7 III, all of them have clean HDMI, or you can simply toggle something on the menu to turn off the signal, um, or the text on the HDMI output. But for this camera, A5000 and A5100, they both do not have that option on the menu. So a lot of people were doing some tweaks, some cropping, and different changes. But with recent developments on the internet and a lot of people working on it, I was able to find a lot of those tutorials, and want to show it to you. Two things that prompted me to make this video is, one, I didn't see any resource or information when I found out that when you plug in an HDMI cable on this camera, the live view is disabled automatically. So that's one. And number two, most of the tutorials have Telnet, or it's one of the steps that we will do today, the Telnet. But a lot of Windows 10 computers have that disabled by default, and you have to turn it on via the control panel. And the third one is, a lot of the guides, or most of the guides, have a manual APK install um, for an app, the HDMI Clean, but it's not necessary for the steps to have a clean HDMI output. So without further ado, let's do the quick tutorial. So with my Sony a5000 right now, you can see that the output have all the signals. I have all the things displayed in there: the aperture, shutter speed. You see the ISO, battery information, everything. So we need a clean HDMI output to be able to use it as a web camera for Zoom meetings with interchangeable E-mount lenses, or for live streaming or a talking head. I will personally be using it as a live streaming camera for mostly static subjects, meaning they don't move around. So the slow autofocus of an A5000 will not be a drawback for my case. But if you are going to use this with like running subjects, this camera will not be good for that use. So right now, let's go to my Chrome here. Okay, so this is the guide that I downloaded, or one of the resources. They have a step-by-step guide here. Reason I wanted to do this is for us to see that it's not as hard as it looks, but it's also not as easy as it looks. So you need to download this one. You don't need to download the clean HDMI as I've mentioned earlier. You don't need to download PuTTY. What I only downloaded is the GitHub link here. I'll put it on the description. You just need this exe file right here, which I already downloaded, and this will basically connect to the camera, communicate with the camera, and install the memory tweak app that we need to communicate to and from the computer. Okay, so I will run the application and we will see what happens next. So with this guide, there's a lot of explanation how they were able to go about working this application, and if you want to go to read through them by any means, but for the purpose of this video, we will cut to the chase and just go to the tutorial. So once you downloaded the PMCA GUI version 0.17, you will see this window. Let me pull that up for you. Here you go. So right now, it's not connected to the camera yet. I have not inserted the USB cable. You need a micro USB cable that can handle data as well as power. Some of the cheaper cables out there will not be able to handle the data, so that is important. Get one that's more beefier and can handle power and data at the same time. So set the camera to MTP mode. That's USB connection setting. It's down there, the setting. You can go through that. Okay, and then on the app here, get camera info, which will show you that it's connected to the camera. If it says that it's not connected, try reconnecting the camera or changing the USB cable. We go to the second tab, install app, and most of the websites wanted you to download the APK file. You don't need that. This version 0.17 will have the Open Memories Tweak app that we need built in. So just select that and then install selected app, hit that, it will connect to the camera. Application download, communication, uploading, downloading and installing on the camera, and then it will say task completed successfully. At this point, we will just disconnect the camera or the USB cable from the camera, and we go back to our screen. At this point, you can see that autofocus on this thing is not as fast as A63, but it works. Okay, sorry, there's something. Okay, so let's go to the menu, camera settings. Let's look for the USB connection quickly. That should be on the settings here. USB connection, MTP. Okay, so this is the last tab, number 2, last option, USB connection. We go to the app. We just install the memory, the tweaks. Okay, there we go. Open that one. This is not installed on Sony cameras by default, but the a5000 series will be able to install this, no problem. Okay, we go to video. One cool feature of this app is that you can disable the video recording limit, which is 30 minutes. So now it goes up to 13 hours or something. So, or until your camera dies from the battery or run out of memory space. Now flip over to the developer tab. We have to enable Telnet. Okay. Again, this is one step that I have to research on a different page. It's not included on most most guides, the Telnet part of the computer. With the camera, you can just go to enable Telnet, go to Wi-Fi settings, and then from the settings there, you have to go to access point set. Look for your home Wi-Fi or your open network connection. Um, you cannot use corporate, most likely. There's a bunch of routing there that we will not work with this app. But for me, I have my home Wi-Fi here, and it is the same network connection for my computer. So we go back to the main page there. Okay, at this point, Telnet is enabled. We have to enable Wi-Fi. What will happen here is that the camera will turn on the Wi-Fi and connect automatically to the network that you enabled or remembered on the Telnet option here. So now it says connected to Espinal Blue 10.0.0.2 is the IP address. Take note of the IP address. We will use that in a little while here. So open up your command prompt. So if you don't know, go to start, type CMD or type command, hit enter. It will show you the command window, which I will show you right now. Command prompt. Where are you? Where are you, my guy? It's not. Okay. There we go. Okay, on the command prompt, check your IP address just for checking purposes. ipconfig, my IP address is 10.0.0.158. Same network as my camera, 002. Let's clear the screen. Okay, at this point, we go to the next step of the guide, which is to communicate to the camera from the computer. Telnet space your camera's IP address .0.0.2. Don't copy my address. You should use your camera's IP address. In my case, it's the 10.0.0.2. Hit enter. Connecting. Now we are in. Okay. At this point, I will now check the text that we need to type in for us to be able to communicate to the camera. Give me 1 second here, if I can find that. Okay, got it. Okay, so there's 3 lines here. First line is R for read. It will read what's written on the block or the code that is written on the camera. W is write. We will overwrite it with a different value, which is 00. So let me go there right now. Okay. If my mouse will cooperate. Okay, first line, copy that. You can also type this manually. In my case, I just copy and paste. Let's see. Hit enter. It will say that the data is 01, meaning the value is 01. That is why it's pushing out the data or the text on your computers or your HDMI signal. So the next one is basically the same, but instead of R, we put W for write. And then at the end, space 00, which means it disables the information going out of the HDMI signal. Hit enter, data 0. We just double check. So from 001, now we are at 00. That is the new value for the HDMI output. That's it. That's basically it. Close your command prompt. And then We just have to reboot the camera, and that should do it. Okay. Let's see. Stand by for action. So my objective here is to have still a live view on the camera, so I can see the settings of my video. But at the same time, the signal on the HDMI hopefully will be a clean HDMI output. Okay, let's see. Yep, as you can see now, my oop. There we go. Focus, focus. Okay. So you can see now that the HDMI signal is producing a clean HDMI signal, which shows everything. Okay, let me just cancel this out. And voila, clean HDMI output. Oh, one thing to note, when you're doing videos for this camera, on a6000 series cameras, you have the dial on top or above. Full frame cameras will have that as well, the video mode. With this cameras, there's only one dial. So you go to camera settings, shoot mode, and make sure you're on the movie mode. Okay, if you're on the manual, shutter, aperture, program auto, if you're on that mode, the video quality is blurry, or sometimes it's there's so much noise. But if you're on the movie mode, not unless you crank up the ISO, it will be really noisy. But in this case, you can see I have ISO 64. I'm using a prime lens though, so it's a 1.4 lens, 30 millimeter lens, and yeah, you can see that it's focused. There you go. And the zoom on this camera works. I love that it has a zoom dial on top of the camera. So if you're using a power zoom lens, or if your digital zoom is turned on, you can use that toggle switch. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. 17 minutes. I think that's good enough length of a video. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, any comments, hit the like button or ask me. If you're on Facebook, you can message me if you have any questions, and I'll try to help out. This is one of the things that I've been focusing on for the past 2 years during the pandemic. Live streaming has been one of my thing. I volunteer to do live streaming for our church, and at the same time, I've been learning a lot about cameras, about streaming, OBS, and stuff. So if I have any knowledge to share, I'll do that for free. Let me know. Take care, guys. Be safe. Have a good night.